If I wanted to make a lot more money right now, there are certain things, if I'm being really real with myself, I'm just not willing to sacrifice that. I'm not willing to do what it takes to get there. But guess what? The people who you're jealous of or you want to be are. And so
And we're back
with another episode of He Said, She Said.
Got your Glōci tip ready, babe? Just the tip?
My Glōci
Your Glōci just the tip.
My Glōci just the tip is that you are probably not taking as good of care of yourself as you should be if you want your business to thrive. And
why do I feel like you're looking right at me when you say it?
I was looking right at you when I said it. That's why. Because I was just thinking of you yesterday and thinking of me today. I was like, I have to actually remind myself to go fill up a bottle of water. And if it wasn't for Glōci right now, I would not be taking a probiotic. I wouldn't be taking magnesium. I wouldn't be taking zinc during this up and coming super busy, cold and flu season. Like there are so many things in this little packet that can help stave off these things that we absolutely don't want as entrepreneurs. And that is, getting a cold or having the cold last for a lot longer than you want, or feeling lethargic, or all of the things that come with being dehydrated that we don't even realize, which can be, fatigue, not feeling great, just not feeling good in your body.
Okay. So listen, I resent that you looked at me when you said it, because here's why. I happen to take minimum 2 Glōcis a day. I sneak them out of the cabinet all the time.
Yeah,
and many times 3 a day. So I'll have one in the morning.
Just looking at you.
I'll have one midday.
I don't have a priest collar.
I always have one at night. I can prove it. Look at this hair. Look at how freaking good and thick and long and amazing my hair is since I've grown it out. Like I used to grow it out. It did not look like this.
Well,
there's one different thing. It's Glōci. I swear to God, it's Glōci. Anyhow, so we have a discount coupon for you guys. What is it?
Code HAPPY for 25% off. And a lot of you don't know that you get a community call with me in the community, and I break you guys all out once a month for 45 minutes. It is so much fun. The community is growing. Truly, the women love it, like obsessed. And I'm obsessed. So you guys, that comes with a monthly subscription. People don't even know that.
That's like literally getting Glōci for free and then a super cheap mastermind.
I know. It's amazing.
Okay, super cool. Anyhow, you go to getglōci.com. That's GLOCI, getglōci.com. Use coupon code HAPPY, get 25% off your first order. All right, so today we're going to talk about 3 phrases that will kill your business. And we're talking about them because we find ourselves still saying some of these things, maybe at a different level than you guys, but we still say these things. Like, I can't afford that. That's one of them. Or, God, this economy is too tough. That's definitely one of them. And I don't have any time, or I don't have the time for that. And those 3 phrases will kill your business because none of them are actually true. They're perceptions. They're not your reality. They're perceptions. Now, are you busy? Yes. But do you literally not have time? No, we all have 24 hours a day. Or for example, is the economy kind of tough for people right now? Yeah, probably more so now than a couple of years back. But is it so tough that you can't make any money? Hell no. And the statement of, I can't afford that. Listen, think about what you couldn't afford if you would have said that when you were 10. You can totally afford it now. And then think about the things you said you couldn't afford when you were 16. You can totally afford it now. So what's the difference? You got smarter about where to get the money for the thing that you can't afford. And in this case, because we're talking about business, I don't mean like the car or the house, although that also will apply to what we're talking about. I mean like that extra hire, or that mastermind, or that consultant, or any of those things. Because guess what? Most of you can't afford not to hire them. They're why you keep working harder and harder for the same amount of money year over year. And you're like, what's going on here? It's because you're not rising above the occasion and saying, how can I afford that? Okay, so let's rephrase some of these, because that's the useful part, not telling you what's wrong, right? But breaking down each one of these and giving an alternative thought or an alternative phrase. So Lori, what is an alternative phrase to I can't afford that?
Well, when I catch myself say it, I throw a yet at the end. Like if I verbally say it out loud, I'm like, oh, I can't afford that. Or we can't afford that. And I'm like, yeah, like I'll catch it right there. But the preventative is really like, okay, we'll get there when, or I can't wait to get there. Like let's talk about how we can get there. What could the ways that people have gotten there before be? So I try to really lean into who's gotten there before and focusing on that and how they got there.
See, for me, the alternative phrase is, where can I find the money for that? Or where can I earn the money for that? Or as Grant Cardone would say, who's got my money for that? Right? Like he's always like, who's got my money? It's out there somewhere. Who's got my money? That's the truth, though. You guys can afford anything you want. You just are looking at it in the wrong way. You're not saying, all right, if there was, pardon the example, a life-threatening situation to my children, and I had to afford this treatment, where could I find the money for it? Or where could I quickly earn the money for it? And it changes the entire dynamic of your situation and the solution, because now you start saying, okay, instead of saying, I can't afford that, you start saying, what if I launched this extra program just for 90 days? Or what if I sold my friend's program over here? I bet I could sell 10 of them and get 50% of the sales. Or what's a skill set that I could just do some consulting this year, and all of a sudden I could afford that thing or that employee or that thing. So it's never that you can't afford it. And I know you might hear that, but like, Chris, you don't understand. I literally can't. No, I'm still telling you. It's not that you can't afford it. It's that you're not saying, where can I find that money, or where could I earn the money for that? And then it just becomes a little matter of time.
It's interesting because it goes into the next one, because I will say, the next one, number 2, is the economy is too tough. Maybe it is tough right now. Maybe things are a lot more expensive. We notice they're more expensive. I'm sure everybody is noticing that. But at the same time, there has never been more ways to make money easier online. Like, this didn't even exist. DoorDash didn't even exist. Instacart didn't even exist. Online, shopping didn't even exist before. Being able to have a business online in a day didn't exist before. Being able to come up with a low-priced product, like the fact that you could think of a product right now and be selling it sometimes in anywhere from a month or less, like, I've never heard of these possibilities before this time in the world. And if I'm even being so honest with myself right now, it's like, okay, if I wanted to make a lot more money right now, which I always do, but there are certain things, if I'm being really real with myself, that I'm like, oh, I'm just not willing to sacrifice that.
You're not willing to do what it takes.
Oh, I'm not willing to do what it takes to get there. But guess what? The people who you're jealous of or you want to be are. And so you sounded a little too excited about that.
Well, because it's true. Like, people who say, oh, the economy is too tough. I have an alternative phrase for that, but I'm not even going to give the alternative phrase yet. I just want to agree with what you're saying. It's not that the economy is too tough. It's that there's still people winning, but they're willing to embarrass themselves a little more than you. Or they're willing to maybe work that Saturday or Sunday that you're not. Or they're willing to spend a few hours each evening putting that together after the kids go to bed, and you're not. Or they're willing to get up a little bit earlier, and you're not. And I know a lot of you are doing a lot of these things, don't get me wrong. But there is something that other people are doing out there that you've drawn this invisible Mason-Dixon line and say, well, I'm not willing to cross that. And that is the difference.
I'm even thinking of the people who right now might be in their car like, okay, Lori, Chris, like, I'm driving to my 3rd job. Like, I have no hours in the day. I totally get it. There was a time where I had 3 jobs, and I remember in between going from job to job, I just sat in my car and cried. Like, I had 5 minutes getting to the next job where I literally remember just crying in the car and then going into the job. And it was because I wasn't willing to work smarter. That was me having to take the time to do work on myself and believe in myself and believe that I could show up in these rooms and believe that I could figure out a way that would pay me more and believe that I could leave the shitty position that I had at that point. And honestly, that was a worthiness thing. I didn't believe that I could go and do something different because I thought I wasn't smart enough. And so that kept me stuck. And if someone would have told me, if I would have listened to this podcast back then, I would have literally had 3 middle fingers up. I don't even know where the 3rd one would have come from, but I would have found it. I would have found a way to flip you off with it.
I can put 3 middle fingers up.
You can. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
But thank you so much. So thoughtful. I
Free for a loop, huh?
I don't remember what I was going to say, but I would have been so upset with you because I wasn't in a place of understanding that it truly was a worthiness issue and a place where I had to go learn how to work smarter and believe that I could.
God, that is all so good. I have a different take on this too. The economy is too tough. Here's your alternative phrase. Instead, you should be saying, where have my customers shifted? Have they shifted down in price point? Maybe I need to change and tweak my product a little bit. Or this one will surprise you. Have they shifted way up in price point? A lot of times when economies get tougher, the middle class really suffers. The working class right below the middle class really suffers. But guess what? The rich just get richer and they just keep spending money to say. So maybe your service that was a $100 an hour service before now became a $400 an hour service. And I know that you hear that and probably scares you, probably blows your mind. It goes back to this worthiness thing that Lori just said. But guys, where have your customers shifted? Maybe Kelly, the customer, can't afford you right now because of the economy. But somehow Tim, the customer that you never bothered to try and tap into, he totally can. You've just never marketed to him before. And another way to look at where have my customers shifted is not always price point. Sometimes it is literally a different zip code. Or maybe they've shifted from online to in person. Or maybe they've shifted from in person, and that was kind of expensive to put together that production, to online. That's what you have to ask yourself. Where have my customers shifted? And I mean that literally, I mean that physically, I mean that financially. And when you ask that question, you get a much better answer than the economy is too tough right now. Because in every economy, people are making money hand over fist, and you can too. All right, the third one, I don't have time. Listen, if any of these resonate with me, and I'm guessing you, Lori, it's this one right now. I don't have time. Except guess what? It's not true. You do. You're just prioritizing some of the wrong things. And here's something I want you to learn. Here's the truth. You will never be done at the end of the day. You will never have all the boxes checked at the end of the day. You'll never finish the week and have gotten it all done. That's a thing of the past. Maybe when you have a job, that's possible. But when you own a business, and I believe that we're speaking to mostly entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs on here. When you have a business and when you really are working that business, you will never be done with your task list at the end of the day. You'll never be done with your task list at the end of the week. So then instead of saying, I don't have time, which feels real to you, I get it. The alternative statement is, what are my real priorities? Because if you're never going to get them all done, then it's time to start prioritizing the things that need to get done and being okay with letting go or hiring out or delegating or bartering or just saying F it to the things that don't fit by the end of that day.
For me, this was a huge learning lesson in delegation. And I learned this early on with network marketing. I had such old school Midwest pride around cleaning my own house.
Oh, God, you did.
Now, I had never, you guys, met a woman who had her house cleaned for her. I never knew a family that had cleaners to their house. I thought that was just some Hollywood stuff. I had no concept of this. So when I started network marketing, the problem is I'm also a clean freak. So any of you out there know who, you know who you are. You feel like you actually can't get things done if your house is a mess. You have to have everything in its place. And so I was always finding myself cleaning the house and doing all of these different things that were taking so much of my time. And I didn't quite understand yet that I could pay someone else and make a whole lot more money. And part of me was like, well, I need to clean my house. I need to do it all. I need that badge of honor. I need that medal. I don't know what I was earning, because honestly, when I realized that I get to pay someone whose business that is, whose small business that is, or someone who's in a situation that they don't love right now, and when I can make a lot of money and even overpay someone what the going rate is, do you know how good that feels? And do you know how long it took me to have to lean into that, to be taken care of by this person? And when I leaned into it, it was the most beautiful relationship where I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking care of me so that I can go out in the world and do what I'm good at. And, you can come into the house and do what you're freaking amazing at, way better than me than I could ever be. And I'm so grateful for you. And it was such a shift in understanding. That was my first lesson in delegation, of realizing there are people out there who not only want to do it, but that's the business that they're starting, or that's the business that they're doing. And you can really help them out. And you can make so much more money if you get back into your zone of genius and out of the things that are draining your time and you're not great at.
I love this. The idea of I don't have time and then changing that to what are my priorities, that goes hand in hand with what you're saying, because a lot of you could market your time for $100 an hour, $200 an hour, but you're doing $10 an hour tasks. You're doing $20 an hour tasks. You're doing $30 an hour tasks in the very same hours that you should be doing $100 an hour income producing tasks or 200. Do you see how asinine that is? You could be tripling your time value. You could be quintupling or sextupling your time value. Hey, that sounds like something different. Should we go sextuple our time value?
Sounds like weekend plans.
But you know what I mean? Like you're too worried about, I want to save money. Instead of saying, wait, if I trade this $25 task for a $100 an hour task I could be earning, then it solves all these things. It solves I can't afford that. It solves the economy's too tough, and it solves I don't have time. And these three things truthfully go hand in hand. So instead of I can't afford that, I want you to start saying, where can I find or where can I earn the money for that? Instead of saying the economy is just too tough right now, I want you to say, where have my customers shifted? And instead of saying, I don't have time, I want you to start saying, what are my real priorities? And then figuring out how you can delegate, trade out, barter out the other ones. And listen, if you need proof of people that are doing this, come to our dinner series because the people there are the ones who have figured this out already. They're high performers. They're people who are absolutely just killing it. They're people that if you're like, okay, I need tangible evidence of the people that know how to trade out their time for the appropriate money that they should be making, or who no longer say, I can't afford that, who no longer say the economy is too tough. Go there and talk to some of those people because they're going to be able to straighten out your perspective real quick. And what you don't tap into, you can't believe as real.
You can't be what you don't see. And I'm telling you, it is so powerful to get in a room full of people who are winning or who have this attitude. Even if for any reason business is down and people are in this room, you guys, it's about the attitude. It's about the belief because business is cyclical. It goes up and down. It's about who you're surrounded with and what these beliefs are, just like we chatted about today.
Yeah. So if you want to tap into the beliefs to make that your new evidence of absolute winners, then come join us this November 14th. There's only a few seats left. I'm going to make it easy for you. Because you listen to the podcast, we're going to give you a 24-hour, $750 coupon. How do you know it's 24 hours? Meaning from the time that I text you the coupon, you have 24 hours to use it and you get $750 off, which makes it the cheapest way you could ever go to dinner series. And by the way, it's the last one we are ever doing because Lori and I have different priorities next year than the huge production value that goes into this thing. Cause it's like throwing 3 weddings a year. Mm-hmm. Lori has Glōci. I've got Frello. And so we just can no longer remember. My alternative to I don't have time is what are my priorities? Unfortunately, those legacy companies of ours have to be our priorities in 2025. So this is your last chance ever to come tap into this group. So if you want to come to the dinner series, get your $750 coupon off. All you have to do right now is hit stop and text me the word dinner to 310-421-0416. Literally right now, hit stop. It's the end of the podcast. Hit stop and text me the word dinner to 310-421-0416. You
guys, this will be the ultimate event. If you have been wanting to get in a room that just blows your mind and you get to get dressed up, meet incredible people, but in a really beautiful, approachable way, trust me, Chris and I make sure that nobody feels left out or left behind or not good enough. We have such a way of completely diffusing the room and connecting all of you. Trust me, I promise. I'm a Midwest girl living in California. I get it, you guys. We just remind you how similar you are immediately, no matter where you come from. And that's really where the massive connections and growth happens.
You know what? You just nailed it, Lori. You walk into that room, you say, wait a minute, I do belong. Mm-hmm. And everything changes from that moment on for you. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, text me the word dinner to 310-421-0416, and I'll quickly reply with a $750 off coupon. Thanks for listening. We love and appreciate you.